Huawei has never been afraid to shake up the smartphone market, especially when it comes to foldables. Just when people thought phones were becoming predictable, the Pura X arrived and made its unusual stretched foldable design surprisingly popular. While most large foldables target business users, the Pura X quickly started showing up everywhere, from malls to subway stations. Now, Huawei is back with the second device built around that idea, the Pura X Max. At first, I thought it was simply a larger Pura X, but after using it, I realized that's not the case at all. Beyond the stretched foldable concept, the experience feels completely different. In fact, it almost feels like a new category of smartphone. So what does it do well? Where does it fall short? And who is it really for? Let's find out.
Big thanks to my tech partner over in China for providing this footage. I really appreciate the support in making this video happen. Hey everyone, Stella here from techiestreet. If you're into staying updated with the newest gadgets, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our latest tech content.
The first thing you notice is the size. And then there's the giant camera module. Inside, Huawei packs a quad-camera setup, including the signature red lens, dual flashes, laser autofocus, and an infrared color temperature sensor. Despite all that, the camera bump still stands out. To make it look cleaner, Huawei added layered transitions around the module. The glossy ceramic ring gives it a premium feel, while the X-Mage logo sits below. Overall, the design feels bold, futuristic, and instantly recognizable. One thing I was surprised by, when the phone sits on a table, wobble is minimal whether it's folded or unfolded. That said, since the display folds inward, it still feels best in your hand. For colors, the white, orange, and blue versions keep the split panel design from the original Pura X. The textured, glossy glass adds extra detail. There are also two solid color options. This olive gold model uses an AG frosted finish with glossy metal edges, creating a cleaner, more premium look. The flat sides also make it comfortable to hold from any angle. Look closely at the frame and you'll spot a huge number of antenna bands. I counted 16 when unfolded, which hints at very strong signal performance. Huawei improved the crease. It's narrower and shallower than before, and once the screen turns on, it nearly disappears. Combined with the AR coating, it no longer distracts during normal use. Durability gets a boost too. The inner display uses a 3-layer structure with UTG glass, carbon fiber, and a polymer buffer layer. Huawei claims 50% better impact resistance than the Mate X7. The upgraded water drop vortex hinge uses rocket steel components and improves drop resistance by 33%. In hand, the X Max actually feels thinner than the Pura X. It's just 5.2 millimeters unfolded and 11.2 millimeters folded. While the original felt like a compact box, this feels more like carrying a slim wallet. One-handed reach is still challenging at times, but much of the display stays within thumb range. At 229 grams, it feels heavy when folded, but unfolded and the weight spreads out much better. The phone suddenly feels easier to handle, especially in portrait mode. Because it's narrower than many small tablets, one-handed use feels surprisingly natural. Of course, the screen ratio is one of the biggest reasons foldables are exciting. The Pura X Max uses a square root 2:1 inner display ratio, the same proportion as A4 paper. Folded in half, the ratio stays the same. The outer display closely matches it too, making software optimization much easier. This ratio works brilliantly for photos and videos. Whether you're viewing 4:3 phone photos, 3:2 camera shots, or 16:9 videos, screen usage stays impressively high. Even ultra-wide content looks better here than on nearly square displays found on many foldables. Gaming is where things get really interesting. Most foldables don't gain much extra horizontal space after unfolding. Some even put extra strain on performance. The X Max takes a different approach. The aspect ratio stays similar, but the unfolded screen becomes roughly 40% wider. The result feels much closer to gaming on a small tablet. Compared to a normal phone, the larger field of view feels far more immersive. Games look more spacious and comfortable. In landscape mode, the charging port sits at the bottom, letting you play while charging without blocking your hands, a feature usually found on gaming tablets. Clearly, Huawei wants the inner display to behave more like a tablet. For example, the selfie camera moves from the center to the corner. Even with the larger screen, interface scaling stays compact, fitting more information on display and making it feel similar to a tablet experience. There are thoughtful software touches too. Swipe down from the upper right corner and the control center shifts closer to your thumb. Huawei even includes the Tianzhen drawing app, previously limited to its tablets. Combined with excellent stylus support, you can doodle, take notes, and even edit raw photos directly on the device.
The Pura X Max often feels like a tablet, but there's one key difference. The stylus doesn't snap onto the phone itself. Instead, Huawei includes a special case with a pen holder that wirelessly charges the stylus using its anti-gravity attachment system. That wider folding design also unlocks a huge productivity boost. Whether you're editing PowerPoint slides or working in Excel, the inner screen feels surprisingly close to a PC experience. In fact, a traditional foldable would need an internal display of roughly 9.35 inches just to match this screen width. That would make the device much larger and significantly heavier. But here's what makes the X Max really interesting. It's not only wider, it's taller too. That means portrait photos and short videos look noticeably better than most foldables. The outer display may not look like a typical phone screen, but it feels completely practical. Compared to the tiny outer screen on the original Pura X, this is a massive upgrade. Officially, it's 5.4 inches, but in daily use, it feels much closer to a regular 6-inch phone. That wider shape also works great for gaming. Games like Subway Surfers and Countryside benefit from the extra screen space. And once you start exploring optimized apps, the X Max really begins to shine. Take the ebook reader, for example. You can use the fingerprint sensor to turn pages with taps, swipes, or even continuous scrolling. Combined with the screen ratio, it becomes an excellent one-handed reading device. QP Music also takes advantage of the larger display. Huawei's liquid glass effects look smooth, elegant, and genuinely premium. Apps are optimized surprisingly well too. Xiaohongshu uses 3 columns on the outer screen and 4 on the inner display. Dianping expands to 5 columns. Silhouette even supports landscape editing with a full toolbar and a much longer timeline. Many video apps switch into tablet-style layout when unfolded. Qufeng is a great example. Landscape mode feels like a tablet, while portrait mode instantly returns to a familiar phone-style interface. Huawei even created special themes for this screen format. One of the most fun is Spray Paradise. Tap or shake the phone and realistic liquid animations bounce around the screen. It feels oddly nostalgic, like those old handheld aquarium toys many of us played with as kids. The virtual pet system is also much more customizable. You can change fur colors, tweak its personality, and interact with it right on the home screen. It even appears during charging animations. Speaking of charging, prop the phone up while charging and it enters a standby style mode. You get clocks, weather, calendars, and a music panel that creates a cozy desk setup. You can even swipe between different clock styles and layouts. The pet clock adds another surprise: air gesture controls. You can trigger animations and interactions without touching the screen. Even when idle, the pet reacts on its own, creating a surprisingly strong emotional connection.
Huawei also built a new AI system specifically for this form factor. The assistant can stay docked along the side of the screen, and a double tap wakes it instantly. You also get background mode and floating window mode, giving you 3 ways to interact with AI. Now, let's talk about daily use. The Pura X Max packs a 5,300 mAh battery. Considering the much larger display, endurance is still impressive. After 3 hours of continuous inner screen use, around 50% battery remained. Overall, battery life sits somewhere between the iPhone 16 Pro and the standard iPhone 17, and if you mainly use the outer screen, it lasts even longer. Charging is much faster than what Apple currently offers. You get 66-watt wired and 55-watt wireless. Huawei even includes a compact USB-C charger in the box. In testing, the phone went from 4% to 100% in just 45 minutes. Display quality is another highlight. The inner screen actually has a higher resolution than the MatePad Mini. Both displays match the Mate X7's pixel density, so switching between screens feels seamless. Brightness is excellent too, exceeding 600 nits normally and over 1100 nits at higher levels. Peak brightness reaches 3000 nits indoors and 3500 nits on the outer display for outdoor visibility. For performance, Huawei uses its flagship 9030 Pro chip. In testing, the X Max drained its playback battery slightly faster than the original Pura X, likely due to the larger screen. But day-to-day performance feels fully flagship level, very similar to the Mate 80 Pro Max. Memory management is especially impressive. The original Pura X closed several apps during testing, while the X Max kept all 30 apps running in memory. The 9030 Pro is clearly a major step forward. Gaming results are equally interesting. Running Honor of Kings at 120 FPS, both phones maintained full performance, but the X Max delivered noticeably smoother frame stability. Low frame performance was significantly stronger. Of course, the larger screen uses more power, reaching around 3.7 watts during gameplay. Huawei may further optimize this with future HarmonyOS updates and new frame stabilization options. In benchmark stress tests, the difference became even clearer. The original Pura X eventually dropped to 50 FPS and stayed there. The X Max remained stable throughout the test while maintaining similar power consumption. The larger cooling system plays a big role here. Surface temperatures stayed lower, allowing the phone to manage heat more effectively. Even when frame rates dipped briefly, the X Max recovered and stabilized again. The original Pura X wasn't able to do the same. And finally, let's talk about cameras. All 4 lenses on the X Max, including the Hongfeng lens, use RYYB technology. So now comes the real question. How does it compare directly to the Pura X? Let's find out.
Now let's get to the cameras, because this is where things get really interesting. In daylight, the Max delivers noticeably better highlight control with its dual wide-angle cameras. That said, the original Pura X still holds a slight advantage in some scenes due to its higher 50-megapixel output compared to the Max's 12.5 megapixel. Detail levels are often very close, but one thing is clear: the Max uses much more aggressive AI processing. Main camera quality is extremely similar overall. However, the Max does a better job capturing subtle color differences and has much stronger HDR performance, especially in 2x crop mode. It also adds a 10-step variable aperture system, giving it better light control, particularly for telephoto shots. And speaking of telephoto, this is one of the biggest upgrades. Huawei replaces the old 80mm 8-megapixel f2.4 telephoto lens with an 81mm 50-megapixel f2.2 periscope lens. Even at 3.5x zoom, the difference is obvious. Jump to 10x and the extra detail becomes hard to ignore. Low light performance improves too. The Max is much more willing to use its telephoto lens in darker environments, and image quality holds up far better.
Thanks to the brighter lens, background blur also looks stronger and more natural. Video gets a major upgrade as well. The original Pura X limited telephoto recording to 30 FPS. The Max now supports 4K 60 FPS directly from the telephoto camera and allows seamless switching between all three cameras while recording. HDR video is better too. The old model couldn't do 60 FPS HDR recording. The Max now supports full 4K 60 FPS HDR video, making it a much more capable video tool. If you judge this purely as a 10,000 yuan phone, the camera system might seem good, but not groundbreaking. But when you realize all of this is packed into a device that basically doubles as a small tablet, it's honestly impressive. Whoever designed this setup deserves credit. The shooting experience is unique too. When using the inner display, you rotate the phone vertically to capture landscape photos, and vice versa. It takes a little getting used to. Selfies work normally, but Huawei also redesigned the X-Mage interface. In selfie mode, controls shift horizontally alongside the viewfinder, making better use of the large display. Using the rear cameras for selfies is slightly less convenient than on the original Pura X, because the camera module and outer display are no longer on the same side. Eye contact feels a little less natural. Still, the larger outer screen makes previews much easier to see. Dual screen preview is also more useful now. If someone is helping you take a photo, they can clearly see what's happening on the outer display. Huawei even added AI pose suggestions. The phone can display guidance directly on the outer screen to help your subject pose better. Hopefully that means fewer arguments during photo sessions. And if the photo still looks bad, well, blame the phone. There are a few compromises though. The vibration motor feels slightly less tight than the original Pura X, possibly due to the larger body. Speaker quality is also weaker because the phone is thinner and uses a more complex internal structure. Even so, it still sounds better than the Mate X7. And there's still a lot of potential left to explore. Many strengths from the X7 carry over here. The inner display uses diagonally positioned dual speakers, delivering stereo sound in both portrait and landscape modes. Overall, hardware remains very close to Mate X7 standards. The USB-C port fully supports USB 3.1. Waterproofing matches the X7 with IP58 and IP59 ratings. The Special Edition even adds Baidu satellite messaging and satellite text communication. After using both phones side by side, one thing becomes obvious. The Pura X and Pura X Max are completely different products. The original Pura X is a compact foldable. Its outer display works more like a secondary screen, while the inner display delivers the full experience and remains excellent for one-handed use. The X Max takes a very different approach. Unfold it and it feels more like a small tablet, yet it weighs about the same as a traditional large foldable. Screen utilization is significantly better, and the outer display plays a much larger role in daily use. In many ways, it's basically a wider, thicker version of the X7. The challenge with foldables is simple. It's incredibly hard to maximize both the inner and outer display experience at the same time. Triple fold phones can do it, but they cost much more. Huawei's solution with the X Max is clever. It prioritizes the inner display while still keeping the outer screen genuinely useful, all without exceeding the size, weight, and pricing limits of a standard dual-fold device. Much of that success comes from software optimization and app support. Honestly, the best way to think about this device is as a premium Huawei tablet that also happens to include flagship cameras, excellent signal strength, strong performance, and impressive portability. And that's what makes it so interesting. One thing is impossible to deny. Huawei understands foldables, from traditional large foldables to ultra-thin models to triple-fold devices and now both compact and wide-fold designs. They've built one of the most diverse foldable lineups in the industry. But the most impressive part isn't the hardware itself. Huawei isn't creating unusual designs just to look different. They seem to focus on how people will actually use these products in real life. That's what makes this feel like real innovation. And who knows, this stretched foldable concept might end up becoming a major opportunity for HarmonyOS to grow even further. So now I want to hear from you. Could this new form factor become even more popular than the original Pura X? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!